Hey there, welcome back to High Infidelity, the best channel for cheating stories. Like and subscribe to channel for more spicy stories. Now, let's get into today's story video. Almost 2 years after, AP is back and I got police involved. Last May, my 31 male, wife 30 female, told that she was seeing another guy she met at a friend's birthday party in January. She said that they just chatted for the majority of the party and that she had no intention of seeing him again, but he obtained her phone number from a friend. She said that after he requested many times, she consented to go out for coffee with him, but nothing occurred, so she kept seeing him until they ended up at his apartment and had. She continued to meet him every other weekend and admitting to visiting his home 8 or 9 times. But before I knew any of that, I challenged her because I saw she had taken a pregnancy test. She buried the box in the bottom of the trash can, but I usually empty the bin upside down rather than changing the bag. By the way, I had a vasectomy. When I confronted her, she burst into tears and assured me that she had finished the affair a few weeks earlier. She kept weeping, saying she was sorry and she would do anything. It came to the point where she was having an anxiety attack, and I'm not sure why she would do that if she didn't want to harm our marriage. I sought confirmation that she had terminated it, and she provided me the final messages that confirmed she had told him she couldn't see him anymore. I got drunk that night because I couldn't sleep because I was so upset. She wouldn't leave my side the following day, but I was upset and needed space. I stayed with my father for almost a month. She used to contact me every day and send me poetry and love letters. At the same time, I drove past our home to check if she was there, and there were no other vehicles, so I was still concerned. After a month apart, I decided to return to her and begin reconciliation, with the condition that she maintained a GPS app on her phone, notifying me where she is at all times, extreme maybe. But she betrayed my confidence and I didn't know what else to do if we were going to solve this. She appeared to have no difficulties with anything and just wanted to remedy this. 1 year later, I can say we are closer than ever, and I have learned some of my own shortcomings, not to justify what she did. But I believe we have arrived at a position where we are both happy and pleased. Of course, knowing that she had an affair will always irritate me, but when we are both happy, I seem to be able to put that resentment in the back of my mind and simply accept that what occurred happened, and it is better not to dwell on it. Now she informed me last week that he messaged her and asked how she was doing, but she didn't respond. He contacted her again, asking whether she missed me. She informed me about the messages, but did not respond to him. I became enraged because he was messaging my wife, and I already knew what he wanted. I texted him from my phone, urging him to go lost. I used much harsher and semi-threatening language, and he responded, "Oh my goodness, really? Are you afraid that you'll plow your wife again? She said that you had a tiny D in everything." I grew so enraged that I flung my phone against the wall. My wife assures me that she did not say that, and that he is just upset because she does not want him. I'm not sure what to trust at this point, but I have his phone number banned. Then I received a message on Facebook from someone who was not on my contact list. It was him using a burner account who emailed me a picture of my wife at what I assume is his apartment, with her on his sofa. Then he emailed me a video file that I knew I didn't want to view, but I clicked on it anyway since it was a video of her performing oral on him. I couldn't stand it for more than a few seconds. I felt like I'd been struck by a train. I feel like I'm back at square one with my wife. I can't look her in the eyes without thinking about what she did. I knew this had occurred previously, but seeing it again makes me feel embarrassed and emasculated. I phoned the police on this person, and they are looking into him. They say he might be charged with defamation and harassment. Everything was going so beautifully until I met this man. Yesterday morning as I was getting ready for work, I broke down, screaming like a baby and falling on the floor. My wife rushed to my rescue and comforted me, but this is the same woman who broke me. I was enjoying what we had until AP messages arrived, but after what I saw, I'm not sure how long it will take me to get over this. The resentment in my mind has grown so large that it may be unsustainable in our relationship. I'm looking for guidance. Story 2. Me, 26 male, with my wife, 24 female of 4 years, together for 6 years, has cheated on me multiple times. I accepted it. Now, I feel like I'm done. So my wife and I have been married for 4 years and together for 6. I'm not sure where to start, but logically, I think I should start at the beginning. Please accept my apologies for the length, but I've been swallowing a lot of anguish for a long time. I'm a total homebody. Every weekend, I could simply stay at home and watch TV and not give a that's entertaining to me. That's something I like doing. My wife, on the other hand, is the most outgoing person I've ever met. She enjoys throwing parties. She goes out to bars once a week. The frequency has been reduced somewhat and remains till the small hours of the morning. I'm often up around 1 a.m. by myself, and it's not unusual for me to awaken at 4 a.m. by myself. So, a few years back, just after we married, I was perusing our computer one night and came upon her porn. I didn't mind utilizing porn since I thought it was sort of. Anyway, while I'm scrolling through it, I come across a video of a guy putting a vibrator on her. What? I punched the heck out. I requested that she explain herself and sobbed my way to my bedroom. She said she got very intoxicated one night and went home with this man from the pub who used a vibrator on her. They didn't have, she claims. He merely put a vibrator on her and she went home, re-eyed. She, of course, blamed me. She said it was because I wasn't providing her with the physical attention she required. I was devastated. But since I believed it was my fault, even though I now know better, I claimed we could work things out and began to rebuild my faith in her. I discovered additional emails from Craigslist advertisements she had made for NSA some time after this. I'm not sure of the period, apologies. In her messages, she essentially asked guys to email her images of themselves, and she would contact them if she thought they were worthy. When I challenged her about it, she said she just used it to obtain images from random males and swore she never met anybody via it. I trusted her because, once again, I'm a who can't stand up for himself. Again, the rationale was that I wasn't showing her enough affection/attention, so she went to someone who would. We had gone through multiple mobile phones throughout this, and the first time, as most people do, we normally copy the contents of the phones to our computers to sift them later. I discovered numerous images, over 100, of her in compromising situations, complete nudity, and so on her computer that she had thrown hers on. These were not delivered to me. I should have mentioned that, but I didn't. I gulped it down. We purchased our first home in October of this year. We'd previously owned 2 automobiles in each of our names, as well as an apartment. We don't have any children. She began working out with a personal trainer shortly after moving there, which she had met from mutual friends. This personal trainer lived about 3 hours away, and she would travel up there to work out with him. It wasn't unusual for her to leave our home late during these training sessions, sometimes as late as 6 p.m. This man lived with her parents, and her parents allegedly refused to let her drive back when it was about 10 p.m./11 p.m., despite the fact that she had a long distance to go. She was allowed to remain in the guest room. I had a business trip to Washington, D.C. During this period, we spoke constantly, just like any other couple. She had remained at the PT home at this period. I pressed her after seeing she was being evasive about something, and she ultimately acknowledged that she had given him oral and he had used his fingers on her. Oh my, here we go again. I believe that in an attempt to assuage the agony I had been swallowing, I came up with the notion that, well, it would be all right if we were in an open relationship. I told her that I didn't want to lose her because she had just someone else, which I now see was incorrect, and that we should reconsider our relationship. I hadn't said anything yet, just tossed it about as a concept, which she, of course, enjoyed. We'll receive new phones again in March of this year. She takes her SD card out of her old one and discards it. I slipped it into my phone when she went out to the grocery one night. Everything was visible to me. I saw messages between her and the personal trainer. I saw images to and from the PT. He's got a little penis. I saw texts proclaiming her love to the PT, with his back to her. And I heard several audio snippets of her moaning other men names. I grabbed the card from my phone and placed it on the counter so she would know I was watching. This time I blew up. I up and fled. I didn't bring anything with me. I simply drove to clear my brain. When she began calling me, I was approximately 5 miles away. I ignored all of her phone calls and messages. After roughly the 30th call, she claimed she'd come home to speak about it. I agreed, if reluctantly. She confessed to him once we began talking about it. She told him she loved him in addition to banning him. Her reasoning this time was that she was in a bad place, that I had pushed her so far away physically and emotionally that she was trying to fill the hole, and that I had informed her that I wanted an open relationship. When I explained that I was only thinking about it, again, to distract myself from my agony, she remarked, "Well, I misread you. Be here right now. I just returned from another business trip to Boston. Because we have campuses all throughout the country, I get to meet hundreds of coworkers that I only know online. My wife appeared to have done everything correctly previous to this vacation. I was convincing myself that I was content. At this work function, a coworker, F, and I became friends. She acknowledged to me that she was married but was ready to divorce due to a complicated issue. She told everything to me freely, and I sympathized with her. I felt terrible for her. When it came time to speak about myself, I let it all hang out. I went through everything again. I poured out my heart. It truly opened my eyes to how bad my condition was and how much suffering I had been putting up with for the last 6 years. I wasn't happy no matter what I said. She cheated on me, and it was never my fault. This is not something I deserve. It was lovely to be able to speak to another decent person without fear of being judged for the agony I'd swallowed. That's something I've never done before. I began conversing with her. A great deal. I discussed everything about my relationship with her, including the fact that if it came to it, I would not fight her in a divorce. The meeting concludes 5 days later. Saying goodbye to her was one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do in my whole life. I thought I was going to cry when we embraced. We texted on the way to the airport about how difficult it was to say goodbye to one another and how we both came into each other's lives for a purpose. She claims I helped her understand she had the ability to terminate her relationship all along, and she has since filed for divorce. I told her that just thinking about her made me happy, and that I couldn't fathom why I had settled for this lady, why I had swallowed so much pain, and why I was still there. I promised her that I would surely bring these matters up with my wife when I got home. Her last piece of advice was for me to be the person I met in Boston. When I arrive at the airport, my wife meets me there. She had no idea I'd poured my heart out in Boston, but I had changed. I was staring at her in a new way. I was thinking to myself, how could someone do this to me? I am entitled to better. When I get home, my wife logs into my Google account and reads everything. Everything I sent her, and everything she sent me. There was no or explicit content addressed. I'm at the stage in our relationship where I'm contemplating divorce. The worry of me settling and being miserable in the future outweighs the fear of me being upset now, but someday meeting a lady who would never do this to me. I have a strong support system in my life, as does she, so I know that any choice I make will be well supported. This past weekend, I remained at my parents' home to talk to them about my predicament, Boston, and the past. I've arranged an appointment with a therapist this week, and although I know they won't be able to offer me an answer, I'm hoping they'll give me the skills I need to make my own choices. One of my problems is that I'm a natural caregiver. I have no ill will against my wife. I believe she is a wonderful person, but she is not right for me. As I previously said, we have a home and 2 automobiles in each of our names. We both have solid jobs, but hers is superior than mine. I wouldn't mind leaving the home if it came down to it. Edit. I should clarify that my wife believes the guy I met in Boston is trying to split us apart. This individual in Boston has no ill intent toward me and stands to earn nothing from my divorce or marriage.